Yeah. Straight from Houghton Street. Taking the street with us. Like rapper pocket. Taking the street. What it do? Yeah. Thank you for taking a ride on the Freedom Train podcast series. I'm your host, Joseph Ward, and as always, ride with me is my home site, Mr. Patrick Irvine. Yeah. Hey, remember, the Freedom Train is brought to you by PAX Inc. That's PACTSINC. And PAX Inc. is a black development organization aimed at developing the black community to its maximum potential through a focus on education and economics with the traits of hard work, honesty, and integrity. For more information, make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org. That way you can learn more about the organization, what they all have to offer. You click on the menu tab right there, bam. You can see about the educational tools, the codes, about member donors, get involved, the learning center, the store, all that. Support black people who support black people that support black people that support black people. Ain't that right, Pat?
Word.
There it is. And remember, follow us online at www, or go to our website rather, online at www.freedomtrainradio.com. Because we got the illest podcast lineup in the history of podcast lineups. Every Monday, you get the Fix Sports Podcast. Every Tuesday, you get the Block and Nickel Money Party. Every Wednesday, you get yours truly, Freedom Train Podcast Series, plus the live showing of Office Hours Professor Carlton Jones, Eric Tolbert. Every Thursday, you get Patrick So, Lessons from the Screen. Every Friday, you get the podcast of the Office Hours with Professor Carlton Jones and Eric Tolbert. Every Saturday, you get Tea Time Black Women Talk. And you also get the On the Shoulders of Giants podcast as well. And we got new podcasts that's coming up, so you better strap your boots on as it's going down. Remember, follow us on Instagram at Freedom Train Net. Follow us on Twitter follow us on Instagram at Freedom Train Network. Follow us on Twitter at Freedom Train Net. YouTube, Facebook, Freedom Train Network. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Freedom Train Network. Shoot. There it is. I thought you knew. Whoop. There you go, Pat.
Back to you. And if you don't listen, then Joe gonna drop a Pusha T style on you.
Yeah. Hey, don't let me find out that you stole something from the store. I'm gonna talk about your ass. And let me find out that you ain't wash your feet. I'm gonna talk about your ass. And let me find out that you got fake toenails. I'm coming for you. My skin is black. No, it's brown, but it be ashy sometimes. But it's all good. Hey, man. All I got to say is, Drake, you got 2 days to respond, or it's officially over.
They already talking about it like it's over now. They already talking about it like it's done.
I mean, we don't want to hear nothing else. If it ain't, hey, look here. You got 2 days, because you take it too long, because the way he messed up at, he responded too quick with that deputy. Now we like, where you at? But anyway.
Well, he didn't respond to the picture, which I think was the wrong thing to respond to.
Yeah, it was. He should have just dropped the track and responded in the track with some disrespectful stuff. But
he should have. You can respond to all the stuff that happened during the beef, after the beef. But while you in the beef, you gotta punch back. You can't explain why you got hit with something. Look, man, they don't be in the boxing corner asking the boxer why he got dropped in the middle of the fight.
Nigga, you got dropped. Trying to do something. Hey, my grandma in the booth trying to cook up a track for Drake. She don't respect Drake now. So Drake, you got to get it back. You got to come on, dog. You got to drop your nuts, Drake. This rap beef, man. Come on now. Don't pull a Nicki Minaj on us.
To another point. Why is Charlemagne all over the place acting like he's some sort of authority figure on race relations? I saw him on Bill Maher talking about race relations in politics and media and stuff like that.
Hey, man, this is the same country that elected Trump. People, you and I had a conversation before about how people who are on TV and who are popular and celebrities, once people find out that they have some sense about what's going on, they automatically deem them as leaders and experts on the topic when they're really not. And it's easier, it's easier for a Bill Maher to get a Charlemagne than like a Claude Anderson, and it's more entertaining. So, I mean, come on, man, we know Bill. We know by now Bill Maher ain't about that real shit. So.
That shit's just crazy to me. But all right, what we got on the show today?
So today we're gonna dig a little deep, but we're still gonna have some fun with what we're digging into. So the two topics that we have to talk about is first, what is a police state? How is a police state developed? What happens within the police state? How do we get out of police state? And are we truly in a police state here in America? Talking about black people in America. Are we in a police state? So that's the first topic. And the second topic we're talking about is social engineering. Because Patrick and I always talk about social engineering, but we never really got into it and broke it down. So we're going to break down social engineering to you all and how it has been affecting black people for hundreds of years. You know what I'm talking about? So is you ready, Pat?
A little bit.
And you sound like you got gas, man.
Well, doesn't everybody have gas?
All right, man. So a police state.
So wait. Let me start.
Go ahead.
You ready? All right.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
Joe, why don't you tell us, what is a police state to you?
To me, okay, my definition, without getting all into what is really classified as, but my definition of a police state is when the police are running the state. I know I'm just playing, but when the police have enough power and control to be able to do whatever they want to the citizens and not be punished for it. They're controlling things. There's a sense of full control over the citizens. If you're a part of this police force, you have a code to follow, a code of conduct to follow, whether it's moral or immoral, it's ethical or unethical. And police get to terrorize, in a nutshell, the police get to terrorize the citizens and nothing happened to them. That's what a police state is to me. What about you?
Well, according to Merriam-Webster, a police state is defined as a political unit characterized by repressive governmental control of political, economic, and social life, usually by an arbitrary exercise of power by police, and especially secret police, in place of regular operation of administrative and judicial organs of the government according to publicly known legal procedures.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, surprisingly, in this case, I tend to agree with the with Merriam-Webster's definition of it. I believe it is, in my opinion, the ability of a state to, kind of like what you said, to police its citizens in an oppressive manner, to control what's said, when said, to surveil people with or without their knowledge or their permission, and to use all of those to the advantage of the state at the hindrance of the population. We do know that there are domestic secretive police type activities going on. You know, I think at this point we got to accept that. We do know that speaking out against certain forms of government, certain pieces, certain institutional pieces in the government. We're not talking about speaking out against people. Like, you can say whatever you want to say about Donald Trump for the most part.
Right.
But we're talking about speaking out against various institutions in the state. So if you spoke ill or negatively about the presidency as an institutional office, in terms of like saying wanting to overthrow it or
Right.
wanting to do something like that, you're going to face backlash.
Now, right. Now, check this out. Now, this is what Cambridge Dictionary is saying. A police state is a country in which the government uses the police to severely limit people's freedoms. And like something I was reading earlier, it's like a totalitarian, absolutism, all those things there, all those words come to mind. Basically, the police have the ability to carry out government functions. And like you said, those who are like against the government, it's kind of like when you're watching the movies like Total Recall or something like that. Like if the law of the land is you can't sneeze in public, and somebody sneezes in public, like they just get snatched up and stuff like that. So it's like there's no way for citizens to truly be able to exist freely as what they say in America, with the way that if it is that we in a true police state. So it contradicts the freedoms that they say we have in the Constitution.
So, do you think we're in a police state?
I think, well, as black people, yes. As America, there are elements of the police state, but I think black people are in a police state, because any damn thing can happen to us, and there are no repercussions. And it's like black people are living under a different set of rules than everybody else. And it's like, think about the number of times the police is being called on us. And we all know that when you call the police on somebody, you're trying to get them killed. And so it's just like I'm sitting, like I was telling you, I'm sitting in a police event, and black police officers and other police are talking about how they feel when the police get behind them, how they get nervous. So I do think that black people are. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'd agree. I think we are in a police state. I think all of America is actually in a police state, but there are levels to it, so it affects, different people get different levels of it. And as black Americans, we definitely get a larger share of it than, say, white America or various other types of Americans. It's not to say that we're the only ones getting the brunt of it, because right now, if we're being honest, the Hispanics are getting their fair share too. And so are the Arabs. They're getting their fair share too right now. But definitely, as black people, I mean, when you look at the reports, the FBI report about the black identity extremists, basically telling the police, it basically unofficially criminalized being proud or cultural pride in terms of your blackness. So if you want to, and if you're unfamiliar with that, you can check it out. Lessons from the Screen did a whole show on it, and the document is in the Lessons from the Screen that show tab on the Freedom Train website, so you can read it there and you can listen to the show. But you look at that, the BIE report, you look at various other things that have come out, you look at the numbers, you look at the way various people have been responded to when they are critical of the government. Like everybody likes to say nothing's going to happen, nothing happens, but there are a number of people who things did happen to them because they were overly critical of the state. I mean,
yeah.
So
well, we know that happened.
Right, and we don't even have to get into all of the examples there are out there, and there are a lot of them out there. So I think we do live in a police state. I think right now we're just in this age where we are still competing with the American ideal, and people don't want to accept that maybe America does have some flaws. Maybe America does have some things that it needs to work on. Maybe the things that we are fighting other countries for doing, we're doing right here as well. So I think, especially as black people, we don't want to identify those things because we don't want to believe that the things we read about are real. We don't want to believe that the things we see on television are real. But I definitely think at some point in time we're going to have to come to grips with the fact that we do live in a police state. Political force in this country is absolute. Um,
Yeah.
we are being monitored. We are being surveilled. And that's not even on
Yeah.
no scary type conspiracy type boogeyman shit. Like that's just
That's just
like
real
we're
stuff.
being surveilled.
Come on, man. Like, come on, man. Like, if you out there thinking we ain't being surveyed, you crazy as hell. Now check this out. I'm on the website securitythegreenhub.com, and it's like is the United States a police state? And so its definition of a police state is a totalitarian state controlled by political police force that secretly supervises the citizens' activity. Then it says, so is the U.S. a totalitarian state? And it's saying, no, it's an inverted totalitarian state. And it's trying to compare it to Nazi Germany. But I think with this, they're coming at the angle from a total stance of the United States rather than how we coming at it from black people, because we in the police state. Like, it's like whatever. Police can do whatever the fuck. Like, we'll monitor all these things. If you show any semblance of black pride, anything, you're a target. Like, being proud to be black puts you on the terrorist list.
Well,
so
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, and it's just like one of the things this thing is saying that corporations control the government, and we do understand that, and that's not an argument whether the corporations control the government, but that don't mean that the police states they're not out there. Corporations control the government, which control the police. So in a sense, corporations control the police, and anybody who is against the corporations, then the police are against you. You know.
Well, and I'm on that website too, because I just went and looked at it when you said that securitythegreehub.com, and I think like their answer, they broke it down in certain sections. And they're basically trying to say, yes, the U.S. has the capabilities of being a police state, but is not officially a police state there yet. But I think the more pertinent question with all the information they give, and I think they do ask this question at the bottom of the page, is the U.S. becoming a police state? Because, like we said earlier, there are levels to it. So if you can't like necessarily compare where the U.S. is right now to where like a Nazi Germany was at the height of Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's not blatant like that.
Right. But is it on the path to becoming that? Could it become that down the line? Sure. You know, in a lot of ways, our police are more powerful. Our political establishments are more powerful. Our economic sectors are more powerful, even than Nazi Germany's was. We could go ahead.
Well, you just made me think about something, because think about it like this: how long did that Nazi Germany reign last? Like we can we don't have to get into exact years, but around our estimate, how long did that Nazi Germany regime last? Like that whole mindset and everything. How long did that last?
It was, I want to say, it was no more than 15 years.
All right, so United States is killing that shit. What's going on? The racism and think about it, Pat. Think about it. Slaves got to the shores of the United States in like in the United States in like the 1600s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so from the 1600s to now, because especially the slave, like, because it was definitely a police state then. Citizens on patrol, all those things for black people. So this form of racism is more sophisticated than what they had in Nazi Germany, because hell, it's still around, and it's able to evolve and grow, and it's learned from its mistakes in Nazi Germany to be able to mask some things so it can still exist. And I just think we need to be able to wrap our minds around that, because if black people are expecting mass, all-out, blatant racism on a consistent basis, to me, that's not going to happen, because I think white people learned their lesson on how to stay in power and control, because with the world watching, even though I still feel like the world ain't gonna do shit, but with the world watching, the United States do have certain things to hold on to. So it's not gonna be all out blatant like it used to be because we got all this access to media.
Right. And that's what I was saying, like, there's levels to it. Even with, like, their first comparison where they say corporations control the government through political contributions and lobbying, and then they turn around and say persistent political apathy allows leaders to do what they want. You know, those 2 points kind of contradict each other because you really don't. And I think this is one of those misnomers or misunderstood portions of politics. Really, what is negatively impacting American politics, if we're specifically talking about American politics, is political apathy, people not wanting to do anything, and people voting based on name familiarity, brand familiarity, things like that nature, which allows political people to be able to evaluate how much money they have to spend per vote, because they know how much money they have to spend to get in front of you a certain amount of times before you're familiar with their name and their face, which increases your likelihood of voting for them because you don't know anything else about them. So, but even to that, the political system is a lot more complicated than just corporations giving contributions. And political leaders, they do, at the end of the day, do what they want. Because just like there's a company over here that's offering money for their campaigns to do certain things, there's another company on the other side that's offering money for their campaigns to do certain things. So, and that's not to get into this whole big, long political conversation, although I think we do need to have that at one point, because I do think people take this whole approach of we can't do anything because the corporations and the political lobbying and the contributions, all of that, in my opinion, is bullshit. That's a bullshit excuse for not being politically engaged. But I do think, like I said earlier, there are levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the United States is not a Nazi Germany, no. But the United States is still, in my opinion, a police state. We are still being surveilled without our permission. That surveillance can be used against you. In certain circumstances, the state does have total control. I mean, period. Like, if the state wants to come in and take your land or your house, they can do that. You know, eminent domain is real. So just because they don't do it that often doesn't mean that it's not possible. And then, you know, you move on to, are we becoming that? You know, you look at the way the political landscape is changing nowadays, and people are largely showing, especially in the era of Trump, that they do still have, and this is going back to black people, they do still have those inclinations towards racism. They do still have those inclinations towards extreme prejudice, extreme bigotry. You know, in-group, out-group psychodynamics are still in play and even stronger. And so do we run the risk? Because a lot of people don't understand how Nazi Germany became Nazi Germany. Hitler rose through power by gaining the approval and the acceptance and indeed the adoration of the German masses during his ascension.
Kind of like, not like Hitler, but kind of like Trump.
Right. So he was able to fabricate media. He was able to generate substantial and effective propaganda, and he was able to ascend through the good graces of the masses of the German people. And once he was at the top, their belief in him was so absolute and so total that he was able to do some of the things that he did without facing any sort of public backlash or recourse. Now you look at where we are in America, where, you know, Trump has said it himself. You know, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote. And we all know that there are a lot of those hardline supporters that love him, just like there are those hardline supporters that hate him. But what's interesting is, or those hardline antagonists, should I say. But what's interesting is the vitriol that's forming between the two groups that are having each one of them actually say that the other group needs to be collectively purged from the nation. Like, that's the part that you want to zero in on, because if one particular group gets a leader in office that